We're going to start right here with Rapid Response 47. 8 hours ago, the president welcomes Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu back to the White House. It's a little quiet. It's actually a lot of quiet. Oh, Oh, okay, here we go.
Peace in Gaza anytime soon. And the 21-point plan, is everyone on board?
The 20-point plan, baby.
Mr. Prime Minister,
We're going to go over that here in a minute. We're going to show some clips, though, first. And I'm talking detail, man. Some of these plans, this 20-point plan that they laid out, it is really long. It actually, I mean, it's not extreme. It's not going to take 30 minutes to read or anything like that, but it's a bit long, man. They've got a lot of details in this plan, and I really honestly don't see how this isn't going to finally get a deal struck and where the hostages are released. Although it is a quid pro quo, a tit for tat, a back and forth that's involved in this plan. So anyway, again, Rapid Response 47. There's going to be a few clips that I'm going to play with regard to this meeting. And I'm going to play 2 right away, and then we're going to go over that 20-point plan that they've got lined out. And it's not a bunch of conclusive points. It's not a bunch of, we need more of this and we need more of that. No, it actually goes into details as to specifically, step by step, what will happen if a deal ceasefire, well, not only a ceasefire, but if a deal is made. But anyway, today is a historic deal for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues. We discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East.
At least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us,
see.
with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, I believe they talked with Qatar today, too.
So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East. And let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East.
Well,
so this is
I don't think that's ever going to happen, to be
far
honest,
more than
President
anybody
Trump.
expected. But the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them.
All right. I mean, it might be a little too bold for me to say, but I don't think in the Middle East, predominantly Muslim, I don't think it's ever going to be peaceful. Not forever, and not completely. There's always going to be radicals. I mean, look, there's radicals even in the West, and they're not Muslim. I mean, there's radicals that are everywhere. You know, you're not going to get absolute peace no matter what. Although I don't think he's arguing for 100% no law will ever be broken again for the rest of humanity. No, I get what he's saying. Relative peace, at least a lot more peaceful than it has been in the last, 2,000 years. Anyway, here, let's play this one. I believe it's just all quotes. Yeah, it's just quotes. We'll just play it
after
out.
Extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard.
Well,
they called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many
dude, hot
years,
mic, man.
decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person.
The king.
The Emir of Qatar, he's an incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, that's
The
what I'm
King
saying.
of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader.
Most populated Muslim country
Prabowo.
on the planet.
He is an amazing
Indonesia.
leader and respected by
At least
everybody.
I think so.
He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking on. They said, "Sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President
A lot of countries
El-Sisi
involved.
of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a
technically
long
January
time.
of
and
2017.
There are
I
many
get what he
cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases they're great men and some great women too.
All
This
right.
afternoon,
So that's that involving or him going over all the different countries that are involved with this. So we're going to get into this 20, I believe it's 20 points. So I'll just start from the top. President Donald J. Trump's comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. Number 1, Gaza will be de-radicalized. Gaza will be a de-radicalized terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. That was the second point, sentence number 2. And number 3, if both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed-upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete staged withdrawal. Let me make this a little bigger here. All right. So, number 4, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages, alive and deceased, will be returned. And number 5, once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7th, 2023, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage who remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. And number 6, once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Number 7, upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip. At a minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the January 19, 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, which includes water, electricity, and sewage, as well as rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. Number 8, entry of distribution and aid in the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated in any manner with either party. Opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will be subject to the same mechanism implemented under the January 19th, 2025 agreement. And number 9, Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. This committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body called the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald J. Trump, with other members and heads of state to be announced, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair. What? All right. This body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza until such time as the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program as outlined in various proposals, including President Trump's peace plan in 2020 and the Saudi-French proposal, and can securely and effectively take back control of Gaza. This body will call on best international standards to create modern and efficient governance that serves the people of Gaza and is conducive to attracting investment. Number 10, a Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups and will be considered to synthesize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for future Gaza. Number 11, a special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. 12, no one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. Number 13, Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by an internationally funded buyback and reintegration program, all verified by the independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and to peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. 14, a guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and the factions comply with their obligations and that New Gaza poses no threat to its neighbors or its people. 15, the United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force, ISF, to immediately deploy in Gaza. The ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza and will consult with Jordan and Egypt, who have extensive experience in this field. This force will be the long-term internal security solution. The ISF will work with Israel and Egypt to help secure border areas, along with newly trained Palestinian police forces. It is crucial to prevent munitions from entering Gaza and to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of goods to rebuild and revitalize Gaza. A deconfliction mechanism will be agreed upon by the parties. Number 16, Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. As the ISF establishes control and stability, the Israel Defense Forces will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to demilitarization that will be agreed upon between the IDF, ISF, the guarantors, and the United States, with the objective of a secure Gaza that no longer poses a threat to Israel, Egypt, or its citizens. Practically, the IDF will progressively hand over the Gaza territory it occupies to the ISF according to an agreement they will make with the transnational authority until they are withdrawn completely from Gaza, save for a security perimeter presence that will remain in Gaza is properly secure from any resurgent terror threat. Number 17. In the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled-up aid operation, will proceed in the terror-free areas handed over from the IDF to the ISF. Number 18, an interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and Israelis by emphasizing the benefits that can be derived from peace. 19, while Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. And finally, number 20, last but not least, the United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. So, incredibly detailed. That, look, if they're not going to agree to this, I don't think they're going to agree to anything at that point. I mean, they're talking about amnesty. Any person who's been terrorizing, like any of the militants, Hamas, anyone in Hamas, lay down their weapons. They will get full amnesty guaranteed by the United States and all these other countries Trump named in the last video. At least I'm assuming that's part of the deal. They'll be allowed to go to any country that would allow them to travel there. They can move freely between Gaza and any other countries of the region. And yeah, I mean, they're going to send aid. The U.S. and other countries that are agreeing, they're going to get rid of all the rubble. They're going to rebuild. They're going to rebuild the hospitals, the infrastructure in general. I mean, look, I honestly don't think that if they don't agree to this, I don't even know what they're going to do. I guess it's just going to have to drag on forever. I don't know. But it sounds like it's probably going to happen, especially when Trump is announcing this. I have a feeling that they've probably been talking with Hamas leaders, and I'm sure that they probably named quite a few things in this list of demands, and they're being met. So I guess we'll just have to see. So let's see about this image here. Can I scale it back a little? Let me just take a look here. Yeah, here we go. Oh, hang on. Technical difficulties. My mouse just died. All right, anyway. That was the issue. All right, so Trump, end of Gaza war, Mediterranean Sea, and Israel. So Gaza City the blue line is IDF current line of control. So that's where the IDF is currently in control. And then the yellow indicates initial withdrawal with the hostage release, which indicates the yellow line. The red line is the second withdrawal when ISF mobilized per standards set in Trump's plan. And then the third withdrawal, which is the lined on the outer perimeter, is the security buffer zone. So we'll see. We'll see if they agreed to it. It could, I'm assuming it could happen as early as tomorrow. Or maybe we'll find out, any minute. It could happen any minute now. I guess all they're going to wait on is just Hamas. Is it a yay or is it an A? So what's going to happen with it? I guess we'll just wait and see. But in the meantime, it's a very, in my opinion, it seems quite reasonable. There might be a few points in there that a lot of people may not agree with, like free travel to, they didn't list the number of countries or the specific countries that these Hamas militants are going to be allowed to travel to. Giving them amnesty, I'm sure a lot of people won't agree with that. But yeah, anyway, under the circumstances, to me, overall, sounds reasonable to me. So anyway, let's size this back up, and then we'll play this next video here. It's another quote. If accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours, the hostages are coming back. So we'll check this out.
If accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and
I think he meant no more than 72 hours.
This from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents.
My question is, have they been in any dialogue with them to find out if there's any proof of life for any of these hostages, or have they not heard anything with regard to these hostages over the last 2 years? I'm just wondering if there's any indication, if they've been communicating with these Hamas people to see if really they are. Have they spoken with any of the hostages over the phone or anything like that? That's what I've been curious about, because I haven't heard anything as far as that. I know that there's been hostages that were released that spoke to officials and told them these are the ones that I was in contact with who were still alive. At least when I left, they were still alive. But I mean, I hope that there's still hostages that are still alive. I mean, I know we're all hoping for that.
Felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that.
So essentially, they're going to have to go through the military, IDF. I'm assuming that we're not putting American troops out there to do this, but they're going to have to go into each and every single building, and they're going to have to scour it. They're going to have to use metal detectors. They're going to have to use all kinds of equipment to try to remove like every single bullet round, every single weapon, everything. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff buried, caches of weapons all over the place. It just sounds like it's going to be an extremely tedious process to have to go into every single room, every building, check behind every wall, every underground tunnel, even the ones that are going to be hard to find. They're going to have to find each and every, like they're going to have to turn over every stone and scour every square inch of that entire area to try to get all this stuff removed out of there, all the weaponry.
Immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons, production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train.
See, my question with the amnesty to these Hamas militants, is it only pertaining to the amnesty with regard to their actions starting on October 7th of 2023 and moving forward? Because there might be a lot of these militants, they might actually have other things, that other acts of terror that they have committed in years past, that once they sign the amnesty, once they lay down their arms, maybe some of them could be placed back under arrest for something that they did 5-10 years ago. Or is it blanket amnesty for everything they've done? Which I'm assuming the latter to be true, but
local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully, as progress is made toward achieving these goals. Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right, and actually our full backing, U.S. full backing. Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here, our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close, but it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
Wow.
If
All
accepted.
right. Yep. They'll have to do what they have to do, which I'm assuming completely obliterating and leveling the entire place, probably. I don't know. I can only imagine, though. If they say no deal, it's probably going to get pretty ugly. And it's probably not going to last very long. I would imagine, but I don't know. All right, so I've got one more. Or two more. Actually, yeah, I think I got two more. So only a couple more minutes.
To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace. Sort
Board
of a
of
beautiful
Peace.
name, the Board of Peace, which will be
Big, beautiful
headed
Board of Peace.
not at my request, believe me. I'm very busy. But we have to make sure this works.
Yeah, Trump's
the leaders
extremely
of the
busy.
Arab world and
A lot of irons in the fire.
Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want. This
Of America.
some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others.
I just haven't
And
heard
they'll
his
be
name in a
named
while.
over
I
the
didn't know
next few
Tony Blair
days.
was even relevant.
And it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it will be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly. As you know, thousands of Hamas leaders have been killed and soldiers have been killed. And we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have
Nope, certainly not.
paid the price for that.
Yes, they have. All right, so we got another one right here. I believe the last one, yeah.
So
This is
let
the last
us not
one with
forget
regard
how
to
we
Trump.
got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago? They withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production
Good
facilities, and hid their
400
military
miles?
command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. That terrible thing, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many. I've seen so many of them. And they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. what the future holds for the Palestinians. No one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success.
All right. Well, that's that. I'm really curious to see how the left is going to react to this. The pro-Palestine folks, Greta Thunberg. I would love to hear how they're going to react to this. I just got a feeling that there's just going to be something. Of course, there's going to be something. There's going to be something where they say no deal, because they like the conflict. I think they're all about the conflict, because I think the left has become pro-war. Anyway, so one from Rapid Response Fox News, Trey Yangst on the president's plan for peace in Gaza. Everyone wins here.
Everyone wins here, even Hamas to an extent, because as part of this agreement that President Trump refined and presented today, it allows Hamas to have amnesty if they lay down their arms and admit that this war is over. We're also getting a new statement just minutes ago from the Hostage Forum here in Tel Aviv. The families of those being held by Hamas are reacting. The statement says, quote, after almost 2 years of unimaginable anguish, we stand at a historic turning point. The statement goes on to say President Trump has accomplished what many said was impossible. His determination never wavered, even when others lost hope. This statement does go on to admit that all of this hinges on Hamas. There is a lot of anxiety across this city and this country, concern that Hamas will not agree to this offer of peace by President Trump. But what we learned there from the White House, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has agreed to this plan presented by the Trump administration, and now the region waits to see if Hamas will sign on.
Yep, we're just going to have to wait and see. Have to wait and see how it all works out, how it all plays out. They didn't really give an exact timeline, but I'm assuming they're going to be expecting something happening this week.